To start with, what we see at the beginning are not your typical love arrow shooting cherubs. And if you add the title, you can be sure you're in for something steamy. But sadly, there is also the ravaging black sickness everywhere, as a church cathedral painter narrates this tale. The feudal lord by the name of Gerbino has ordered his boys to chase Lorenzo down for beating him at the gambling table. By the way, Lorenzo is a local young man who has a crush on our protagonist. He barely manages to elude them, and trust me, this has more to do with money than a lady, at least for now. The next morning, Lorenzo makes a stop at Pompanea's house. She is the main female lead, and also his crush, amongst many other admirers. His friends arrive with a horse so he can skip town, as Gerbino's men continue to search for him. Meanwhile, Pompanea is grieving the death of her parents to the plague. Gerbino walks in saying that her father owed him a debt, and to pay it back, Pompanea needs to marry him. How convenient, don't you think? Also, the narrator has soon abandoned his church roof painting job and become a full-fledged priest, because the Holy Ghost whispered it to him. Lorenzo, on his part, is being chased on horseback and ends up at the sanctuary of nuns. Imagine that for a moment, will you? The same thought happens to be the wish of almost every red-blooded man. So it might interest us to know how he got in. The prior scene played out like this. He fell from a tree while hiding from Gerbino's men, and the nuns thought he fell from heaven. To be fair, he even looked the part, because he had such a handsome angelic face. Lorenzo went even further by pretending to be deaf and dumb, which endeared him even more to the nuns. At least, if a nun can't get with a regular man, then an angel will do, especially if he was God sent. In the following scene, Pompanea and her girls, together with Lorenzo's friends, call for a meeting at the church to decide on leaving town because of the plague. Gerbino crashes the meeting and commands that they disperse. He even recognizes and threatens Lorenzo's friends. But then the newest and self-appointed priest intervenes. Afterward, they are soon on their way out of the hellhole caused by the plague. But Pompanea does one better and checks herself into the same convent where Lorenzo is. Yep, the same Lorenzo who is claiming to be deaf and dumb and having a field day with all the nuns. While being prepared for life as a nun, Pompanea can't help but cite Lorenzo. In fact, you can't miss him, seeing as he is the only man there. He works as the convent gardener and has become very popular indeed. Pompanea notices how all the other nuns enjoy his company at some point, so she becomes jealous. In fact, any nun who has not yet been touched wants a piece of him. Pompanea herself is distracted from her original mission of waiting for her betrothed, who is a nobleman and a count of a province in Russia. As you'll find, he is a very confident young man who is proud of his heritage and mouths it off at every opportunity to anyone who cares to listen. And so enters the count to pick Pompanea up so they can get married, according to her father's last wishes. Remember, Gerbino has taken advantage of her father's death and alleged indebtedness to corner Pompanea for himself. Instead of Pompanea, who has since fled, the count is met with Gerbino and his men. Gerbino now claims to be Pompanea's rightful fiancé, but the count is strong-willed and doesn't believe this. One fun fact is his Russian accent is quite strong. He rides out, and fortunately, a servant hands over a personal message from Pompanea. The others are still on the road, talking about their virginity and all. Two cowgirls appear from nowhere and tempt Lorenzo's friends to come in onto them. The problem is Danilo, who is one of Lorenzo's diehard pals, has a girlfriend who insists on remaining chaste till marriage. Her name is Filomena, and she is tall and attractive. The two young men get to meet the cowgirls, but Filomena eventually catches them red-handed. She is angry that Danilo could betray their vow of abstinence. In a different scene, Pompanea refuses the urge to act like the other nuns around Lorenzo, and she makes him know it. Even the head nun cannot resist Lorenzo. Meanwhile, the count is on the way to meet up with Pompanea, but Gerbino and his boys ambush his group. They manage to kill all the count's men, and he narrowly escapes, only to bump into Gerbino sometime later. Luckily, the count just so happens to be carrying a gun, which is a rarity in those days. Gerbino sees it and wants one too. Greedy behavior, man. Finally, Pompanea succumbs to temptation. Okay, only partially. She goes over to Lorenzo's room, carrying his food. Then she blindfolds him and kisses him. Then she promptly goes away. So, in addition to pretending to be deaf and dumb, he might as well add being blind to his show. However, Pompanea's actions leave him wanting more, even as he has never had the chance to see her true identity. We now see that the rest of the group is still on the road. Dinio is angry at Philomena, his girlfriend, for complicating his wet dream. They both go off the road and into the woods to make up. But then, they are captured by some big men and taken to a camp. Philomena finds Melissa already there, and it seems they've all been taken. Melissa is friends with Pompanea, as is Philomena too, and mind you, the priest has since left on his own beforehand. The leader of these men suggests that the girls will be taken to Africa to work as prostitutes. Melissa will not accept her captivity lying down, literally, and so she devises a plan to seduce the leader and to escape. But Melissa's seduction falls short, and so she changes plans. She, with the help of Philomena, go over to where the rest of the men are. They are both able to convince all the men to take their pants down literally for a chance to be the one to have Philomena for the night. Melissa is then able to steal a bunch of keys and they all escape.
Come on, Kate, now come on, hurry up!
The news gets to Pompanea that the Count is in search of her, so she must leave the convent at once to be married. But first, she must leave a parting shot, which is, if she can't have him, then no one else would. In other words, she exposes Lorenzo's antics to the nuns by revealing that he can indeed talk. So the nuns catch him in his lie, and he is promptly evicted from the convent. Here's what happens next. Also known as the twist in the tale, the Count roams the woods alone and comes to a river. While trying to drink, he sees Melissa swimming, and as nature would have it, he thinks he has found Pompanea. And worse still, he doesn't deny it, so they end up making out. Meanwhile, Pompanea is on her way to meet up with him at the wedding venue. Too late, girl. However, she picks Lorenzo on her way there. When they arrive, there is nobody there, so Pompanea and Lorenzo get to talking. He tells her about the mysterious nun from earlier who kissed him blindfolded. Goodness. He doesn't even know she is right there in front of him. What's with this set of women in blind spots? As they talk, Pompanea sees how seriously in love Lorenzo has become with this mysterious woman, namely herself. They are walking while talking now, and Pompanea proposes that she can make him forget about this woman with her kiss. The same kiss that has his head over heels in love. Pompanea's hope is that he recognizes the kiss as being hers. As they are about to lock lips, Gerbino arrives on horseback with his men and interrupts them.
Give me a sword!
He tries to kill Lorenzo, but Pompanea intercedes and says she won't marry him with Lorenzo's blood on his hands. So Lorenzo is locked up instead. Next up, Gerbino arranges for a priest right away, and it just so happens that the same self-anointed priest stumbles in from nowhere. Also, Gerbino releases Lorenzo as a sign of good faith. However, he has secretly ordered his men to kill him. Lorenzo outwits the men just as the Count rides past on his horse.
That way. I thank you.
They both have a wedding to gatecrash. According to Pompanea's wishes, the priest stalls for as long as he can. Soon, both the Count and then Lorenzo arrive. They challenge Gerbino, and a sword fight ensues. They easily have Gerbino cornered and toss a coin to decide who fights him first. Lorenzo wins, and so Gerbino has to fight him at the edge of the well. Another fun fact, Gerbino is scared of heights, but his pride won't allow him to give up. So they fight for Pompanea's honor. It's easy to see that Gerbino will lose this one, so he ends up being distracted and falling all the way into the well to his death. Now the Count makes his move on Pompanea, but she uncovers her veil and the Count thinks she is not Pompanea, at least not the enchantress he met by the river. Suddenly, Melissa appears, and the Count declares his love for her. She's a lucky girl because she will be taken as royalty from henceforth. The other friends of the group arrive too. Pompanea chases after him and tries to convince him to stay. He insists he has fallen in love with the memory of the mysterious nun's kiss. So Pompanea jogs his memory a little, while doing the exact same thing that got him hooked in the first place. Now his eyes are opened. The others give a round of applause, and the priest decides he has to get back to the convent for some more of that nun loving, and the movie ends. Hope you guys enjoyed the recap. If you did, give us a like and share the video. Don't forget to subscribe. Till then, bye and take care.